why have home prices in the Sacramento area dropped a bit? Now, here's the thing. For me, my answer was pretty simple. Buyers are waiting for rates to drop. They're also waiting for prices to drop a little bit too, but for the most part, buyers are thinking that rates are going to drop. And I think that's affected people moving into the Sacramento area, people moving around Sacramento, because people are wondering if all the rumors are true and if rates are going to be cut and rates are going to drop in the housing market. So that is one of the things a lot of people have been waiting on. A lot of people have been thinking to themselves, home prices are going to drop, rates are going to drop, and it's going to be a fantastic market to jump in. Just not right now, maybe a little later. Now let's talk a little bit about that and if it's really true, if it's something that we should be waiting on, if it's something that we need to know that exact number before everybody on the fence jumps off the fence and jumps into the housing market. And all of a sudden we're in a market where home prices are going up, appraisal contingencies are being waived, and it is pure anarchy. Let's talk a little bit about this, especially if you're thinking about moving to Sacramento. This is the video you need to watch. Let's jump into it right now. Okay, guys, hopefully you guys are having a good night. Let's talk a little bit about Sacramento. I want to talk also about Sacramento's kind of place in the California housing market as well, too, because I think that we're a very, very interesting spot in all of California, right? I've often said, like, we are, for me, one of the more affordable spots in all of California. They'd still give you that California lifestyle. And a lot of people might poo-poo it. People, commenting on this channel from like Texas or Florida, that's fine. But for the most part, for me, I love the climate here. I love the weather. I love not having tornadoes or hurricanes. And for me, California is a great lifestyle. But for me, at the same time, I grew up in the Bay Area, and I knew that I wouldn't get what I needed in the Bay Area as far as if I was going to pay a big old mortgage payment. I knew that that house, that condo, or whatever I ended up buying, if I ended up buying, wouldn't be something that I'd be happy with. So I think Sacramento, the metro area, and I mean like the Rosevilles, the Rocklands, El Dorados, West Sacramentos, the metro area pretty much. We all know that when we live here, what that kind of is. I think we have a perfect we're kind of like the Goldilocks spot in all of California, where we're not feeling like we're kind of so far and we're thinking to ourselves, are we even in California? I think we're actually that perfect spot where your dollar stretches a lot further than the Bay Area, than Los Angeles. You can still get that amazing house with a pool if you want to. You don't have that crazy mortgage payment that you would things in Sacramento. Like, for example, you can get something for like $650 with a pool, nice sized backyard, cute home. You know what I mean? Something that in the Bay Area would probably cost you about 1.5, maybe even more. So I like that about Sacramento. And I think for us, what we notice too is we never see that, price drops are as drastic as they are in the Bay Area. And this is all relative to price. We never see that. Sacramento's always been that spot where a lot of people in the Bay Area first discovered Sacramento as far as that place where they're buying investment properties near the college, investment property because there are a lot of state jobs. Sacramento's always been very, very good about that. But then later on, a lot of people from the Bay Area were like, you know what? I don't want to live in like a, 1,200 square foot condo that I just paid $2 million for. I'd rather jump into Sacramento, work remote, or find a job out there and have actually that house that I always kind of dreamed of, with a pool, with a backyard, resort vibe and everything too. And then COVID hit and Sacramento was just off to the races. Now, I think for people who are looking to move into California specifically, Sacramento is one of those spots that you have to put on your list. If you're the thing about Sacramento that's so nice, other than, besides like our job economy and our job diversity with all healthcare, state jobs, we got some tech, we got some, construction jobs because we're building like crazy around here as well too. But other than that as well too, additionally to that, the location of where we live right now, close to Napa, close to Tahoe. Like, for example, for me, this winter is going to be me teaching my daughter how to snowboard. We're going to get season passes because we actually have access to Tahoe and it's pretty close by. And that's our thing. A lot of people in Sacramento do have season passes because you can take the day off, go snowboarding and everything too. Close to Napa. If you're really jonesing for the ocean, you got Bodega pretty close by as well too. You got Stinson Beach, my favorite beach in all Northern California. And also a lot of people decide once they're up here, they're, kind of craving the Bay Area, craving Los Angeles. But then they discover some fun things to do in Sacramento, Sacramento River, American River, Folsom Lake, paddle boarding, really, really nice stuff to do here too. If you're a biker, we got a lot of bicycle trails as well too, mountain biking, hiking and everything too. So for me, Sacramento is that spot that I think for a lot of people, that have moved here, maybe just come out here and discovered Sacramento, it gives you that bang for your buck. Now, for a lot of people, are saying, what, look, if the prices were the same in Santa Barbara comparatively towards Sacramento, I'd be in Santa Barbara all day long. That's a fantasy world. It's not going to happen. I wish, but it's not going to happen. But does Sacramento fill that kind of gap of having the California lifestyle, but not breaking the bank, not having that spot where you feel like always you have to leave your house, right? One of the things I felt too when I was in the Bay Area, it was like I always wanted to go out, right? Because my house was tiny, or where I was renting was tiny. And so I didn't feel like I could bring people in. I didn't feel like I could invite people, hey, you know what? I got a next gen suite. Go ahead and come up for the weekend. I didn't feel like I had that. In Sacramento, we have that. You know, a lot of people that we move in, they have that extra spot where basically they can kind of, you know, they can move, they can bring someone in for the weekend, you know? And the funniest thing is a lot of people, when they come up to Sacramento, they get the house, they get the pool, they get the backyard, they get the whole 9 yards. They bring people in from other areas, and they're pretty much impressed with what they can get in Sacramento, our growth, job diversity, and just like how, you know, if you look at other major markets in California, like, right now the housing market is a little slow and we're dipping a little in prices, but not, you know, relative to like, you know, like other cities that are bigger in California. So I like our Sacramento market. And I think we, you know, like I said earlier this year, and I always talk about this, you know, early this year, Redfin released a report, and it's so funny because people are like, no way, no way. Yeah. Sacramento was that one spot, you know, it was the number one spot, not Dallas, not Phoenix, not Vegas, not wherever. It was the number one spot that was searched on in Redfin for people looking to relocate. They're thinking to themselves, like, I'm not going to Dallas. I ain't going to Austin. Sacramento was that number one spot. So that should also tell you guys a little bit about like what we have going on here and how kind of lucky we are to be living in an area that so many people are researching to move into. So many people are saying to themselves, I'm not going to these other cities. Nah, I'm going to Sacramento. And it wasn't me, you know, of course, you know, YouTube realtor telling you Sacramento is amazing. It was Redfin. One of the most like, you know, they capture so much data and all that stuff too. But they were basically like out of everywhere, Sacramento is the number one spot people are looking into. So for me, at least, like I see that as a great sign for me. I'm like, okay, this is great. For me, one of the things you're going to notice about this channel that I think differs from a lot of the other channels is that like I want to go deeper with my content for you guys, right? Like the project videos that I've been doing, bringing on Derek last Friday for that video was fantastic. We're going to do another video on the 50 and when that's going to be completed and all that stuff too. I want to go deeper so you guys not only know that like, you know, you can get a great house here in Sacramento. I mean, that stuff is so obvious. And even like some of the communities here too, but I want you guys to know like what's on, you know, what's going to happen in the future here in Sacramento. You know, this is like the cliffhanger, you know what I mean? This is like, what is going to what's Sacramento going to be like in 2030? What are the things that we've been promised in Sacramento? What are those things that the realistic, are they going to be really happening or are they just smoke? Or is it something that we have stuff to look forward to? Like, for example, they're opening up a surf park in Roseville. Like all those things I want to bring to this channel so you guys know what an amazing place Sacramento is currently and what an amazing place like it's going to be in 2030, 2035. Like for me, I feel like I kind of got, you know, in on the ground floor at NVIDIA before it popped. So for me, I'm extremely excited. And like, I like California, the lifestyle here and everything, but if it wasn't for Sacramento, you know, I don't know where I'd be looking, to be totally honest. I think Sacramento is the Goldilocks metro area in California. And I'll say this left and right. And for a lot of people who, you know, go negative on Sacramento, just come out. Majority of the people who do this hate or this negativity, they maybe came out here like 15 years ago, or they maybe never even came out here. So like, I'd say for all you guys out here who like, you know, who realize like I do that Sacramento is pretty amazing as far as its diversity of lifestyles, like diversity of housing areas, golf course communities, new homes. I mean, new homes, you can get a brand new home here in Sacramento, sometimes even less than a resale home. So for me, okay, so that's kind of what I think. All right, me Crowbar. All right, we got your house pretty much ready to rock and roll. We're looking forward to getting that thing on the market. I think it's going to fly. All right. Good evening from Georgia. Good vibes. Hey, Pamela, how's it going? Georgia, man. Can't wait to get you out here, Pamela. All right. Is this a buyer's market here in Sacramento, sir? I would say right now what we're noticing is that I think the buyers have helped. I think the buyers' low demand during spring and summer have turned it into more of a buyer's market. I do think, though, there are certain areas like in Folsom or certain areas and communities that still things fly off the shelves. But at the same time, I think like right now, I see the weaker markets, you know, like the ones that, you know, if you're in Sacramento, you know these communities and neighborhoods and areas. But if you live outside Sacramento, which a lot of people come in from Los Angeles and San Francisco, they don't know about. Like, I think if you look in the Orange Vales if you look in the Fair Oakses, Carmichael, Citrus Heights, Natomas, even like the Arden Arcade area, I think you can get some great deals there right now too. So for me, as far as a buyer's market, yeah, I think we're headed towards it's. If you look at it on paper, it's kind of a balanced market, right? But I would say that I haven't seen a market in the last few years favor the buyers as much as this one does currently. Now, September, what is the 16th and 17th, we're going to find out if rates are going to be cut even more. A lot of people are saying they are. I wouldn't say I would, like I said, I'm very, very skeptical, right? So I don't believe that stuff until it actually happens. And remember also though, 16th, 17th, Jerome Powell will come out. If he says there's a rate cut, chances are what you probably already saw the rate cut have like its effect on the housing market probably like 7 to 10 days prior to them announcing it, if there is going to be one. So if you start seeing rates kind of dip, that's probably going to be the rate cut you're going to see. So just so you guys know, for me, if I'm a buyer looking right now, and a lot of buyers right now are waiting. They're thinking prices are going to drop further. They're thinking interest rates are going to go down, and this could be a perfect time to buy. Now, I'm not going to be one of those realtors that's going to tell you, nah, that's not going to happen. I'm going to say, like, time your life, don't time the market. A lot of people are betting on this stuff too, but I've seen a lot of people bet wrong. Just figure out if this is your time to buy. Do the research, get the education piece of it. Like, here's the thing. More than not, you're not going to find your dream house in one weekend. It's going to take you a little while to find houses. Even though we're seeing inventory pile up and everything too, it's still not that inventory everybody loves. It's the inventory we've been seeing for the last couple of years. So it's still that inventory. But do I think, and I'll circle around, sorry, Charles. I know I'm a little long-winded today, a little too much caffeine. I think right now it's a buyer's market as far as buyers being able to get a good shot at homes. I think that in September, if we don't see a rate cut, we could see prices even go lower, and buyers could even have more of an advantage in this market. Now, September is really going to be important as far as the rate cut goes, because I do think that there is a number currently right now that everyone who's on the fence is going to jump off the fence and jump into this market. I don't know what that looks like. I don't know, but I know a lot of people right now, we're hovering around 6.5. A lot of people at 6.5 can't really jump in to this market. They can't afford it. They don't want to afford it. You know what I mean? They just don't want to deal with it. Do I think maybe if we got ourselves down to a 6%, do I think people might be jumping in again? Or maybe something with a 5 next to it? Yeah, I think, all of a sudden we could see us pop up again. Do I think that that's going to happen? I'm not going to toy around. I don't until it happens. I'm not going to believe it. I think we're going to be hovering around 6.5-ish, 7. I think we're going to be dipping in between there. Like, I could be wrong. Like I say, we'll find out sooner than later. But I will say this for the most part, because spring was dismal, summer was dismal as far as buyer demand, I think you're probably going to see prices dip a little bit too. Because right now, the inventory on the market is that inventory that really people need to get rid of. All the 2.75ers that were living in their homes and wanted that inflated price, you're seeing those kind of get thrown off the market. So all the stuff that's on the market right now, and probably in the next couple of weeks, is the stuff that people really, really want to sell. They're saying to themselves, I don't want to have this. I want to sell this thing. I want to buy my NVIDIA stock. So I think that we're going to see prices drop even a little bit more. And I think buyers are going to have a great, great time jumping in. Now, like I said, if all of a sudden we get into like low 6s or high 5s, all bets are off. But for the most part, for me, as I'm seeing it right now, I think the houses on the market right now are the ones that a lot of people want to get rid of. If you can find something that you really, really like, you could get a deal. So just, that's kind of what I'm seeing right now too. What do you guys think out there? All right, Brad, Sacktown #1. I'm with you. I wouldn't be here if I didn't think so. All right, greetings from Roseville. Oh, I do love me Roseville. Roseville, I'm going to be doing another video on Roseville in the future too. Roseville's great. I love the area. The development of Roseville, the growth of it, how it's going to connect up with like Placer Vineyards and Placer One. I like the idea of Bickford connecting in through the back through. Yeah, I like that area too. So I think Roseville's always been a staple. A lot of people have asked me like, what's the difference between Roseville and Rockland or Roseville and Folsom? I'd say Roseville for the most part, like it's divided up very crazy. Like West Roseville is all the new homes, and it's a little further away from like your East Roseville or Center Roseville. I would say if you're looking in kind of like the East Roseville area, I'd say maybe you're looking at maybe a $50,000 to $100,000 more affordable in Roseville. Both great places and everything too. I think it's just, you're going to see a lot of the same home styles too, kind of tri-level kind of homes as well too, the older ones. But you're going to see some beautiful, big, big houses as well too in Roseville. So I'd say if Folsom's kind of got you down, Roseville, if you're okay with it, because remember, Roseville 80, Folsom 50. I think Roseville's a good market to hit, or at least to investigate. All right, boom. You got Jake. Jake, I got to have you on the show one night, so we got to connect. If you want to, give me a call tomorrow. I'd love to have you on the show in the next couple, maybe in the next couple weeks or whatnot. Wow, surf park in Roseville. I know, I couldn't believe it either. My buddy Sean Habermill, who we did these videos with in her house, and her house that she listed, it isn't really West Roseville, but it's kind of close to it. This thing was amazing. 1.4 million. She got 4 offers. It just flew just because it was just on the golf course. Absolutely gorgeous. But yeah, Roseville is going to develop. It's going to grow. I don't necessarily think it's going to grow as fast as like Folsom will, just because it's spread out. But I do think that West Roseville in general is just a juggernaut. I think you're going to have some amazing things in Roseville, West Roseville, Costco, all that stuff too. So I think, what I'm seeing in Sacramento is, it's funny because a lot of people are like, the economy, the slowdown, everything too. When you look at all the brand new homes that we've actually put in all those spots, like the West Rosevilles, the Folsom and Elk Grove, and you look at everyone paying between like $250 and maybe $650 Melrose, like those schools, those roads, those parks, they're coming. And the thing always kind of boggles my mind. People are like, oh, are there going to be any commercial, are there going to be shopping centers, or there going to be all that stuff like in these new areas? I'm like, let me put it this way. If you were a business owner and you basically saw like 30,000 brand new homes that didn't have something, wouldn't like a light bulb pop in your head and say like, yeah, there's 30,000 people out there too. That's where I'm putting my business, because that's a captive audience. So I think the commercial, I think it's just a no-brainer. So I think commercial is going to erupt in all those spots that they're building, the Elk Groves, the Folsom, the West Roseville, the Rockland, because as far as supply and demand, as far as just like logic, I would say that if you have a captive audience of like 30,000 people sitting in some spot in West Roseville, and you're like a dentist, or you're like a doctor, or you're like someone who's starting a business, for me, I'd be like, yeah, I'm going to go right near those people, and I'm going to, basically own that area. So I think commercials coming as well too. I'm excited. Like I said, I think Roseville is a hot spot. I think West Sacramento is great. I think Lincoln's amazing. And I also talked to a really nice lady as well too. I've been talking to her back and forth. Cheryl, really nice lady as well too. And, she was asking about like, I'm looking in the 400 range. What do you think? If you're looking in the 400 range, I think that like the Plumas Lake, Linda area, I think those areas are good. I think those areas you can definitely get something brand new. I mean, they've reduced all the homes at LGI up there by like $50,000, crazy incentives as well too. And I think those areas are going to benefit from the growth that's happening in Sacramento as well too. I think that area is going to experience a very big boom, and a lot of people are going to make really good on their houses. You might go out there, it might be a little farmy and everything too, but guys, guess what? Like 20 years ago, people were calling Sacramento Cowtown. I mean, and people who haven't been here, they're probably still calling it Cowtown, but if they arrive here, they're going to know that there's just no one who would call Sacramento Cowtown that actually knows Sacramento. So that'd be that. All right. Brad, what's the ratio of the people moving to Sacramento specifically? One more time. What is the ratio of people moving to Sacramento specifically versus greater the Sacramento region, such as Folsom and Roseville? I would say out of 10 people that call us, I would say we probably like 8 of them, 8 to maybe 8.5 of them, whatever, are looking in other areas. Like they're looking Folsom, El Dorado Hills, they're looking Grant Bay. A lot of them also want to see spots that they can look at resale and they can look at new as well too. A lot of people, like I said, East Sacramento is a little soft, Land Park's a little soft. All the Sacramento proper areas are a little soft. Here's the biggest thing that kills people about here's the biggest thing that kills everybody about Sacramento proper is that if you live in Sacramento, you're going to realize that a majority of the people send their children to private schools, right? Like Jesuit, like all that stuff in the Sacramento kind of proper area, like Land Park, East Sacramento. So you take people who've actually like, coming in from Los Angeles or coming in from like, San Francisco or whatnot, they're coming to the Sacramento area. And part of them, they're thinking is like, well, I'm seeing all these amazing scores in like Rockland and Folsom, all those spots too. And so part of them is like, why would I send my kids to private when I got all these other schools that are just like brand new schools, top-notch ratings? So I think that's one of the things that's kind of hurting a little bit Sacramento proper. Now, I'm not saying there aren't great schools in the Sacramento proper area, but if you compare them to like, these monsters that they're creating in Folsom and Rockland, I would say a lot of people are geared. One is schools are always one of the main things people look for. So I think a lot of people they look at Sacramento, like, East Sacramento, Land Park, and they're kind of researching it, especially if you're someone who lives in Los Angeles, you're researching it. Then they're like, hey, I wonder what the schools are like. Oh, okay, that's interesting. So there's a little bit of a disconnect. And I think that could be hurting a little bit of, the East Sacramento market, the Land Park market. And like, I'm not telling you like they're not some amazing homes over there too. And the schools, like the private schools, aren't fantastic over there. And there are some public schools that are, people love as well too. And schools are very subjective. But I would say for someone who's coming into the area, probably they're looking at areas and they're thinking to themselves, number one, school, location, and all that stuff too. And I would say easily probably like 8.5 to probably 8.5, of those 10 people are looking directly at like Folsom, looking directly at Rockland, El Dorado Hills, and everything too because of that. So, like I said, I hope hopefully one day, Sacramento might kind of like, this thing that always kind of kills me is about Sacramento in general is they don't really believe in kind of rehabbing schools, I guess, or like, they just don't believe in it. They just believe basically using the Melrose to build a brand new school, right? And that's kind of what you see. If you see all the schools that are like, brand new, the ratings and everything too, it'll kind of like blow your mind. You're like, oh, the elementary school that they just put in Folsom. Oh my God, the thing is like a little mini junior college. It's just crazy. And then like, Folsom High, you look at that one, that thing is crazy. Like football stadium by the water as well too. And then they're going to be putting in another high school in the Folsom area as well too, middle school, elementary, all through the, Melrose and everything too. So I think that's one of the things that I think is hurting Sacramento a little bit in the Sacramento proper area. Now, for me, I like Sacramento proper. Fab 40 is so nice. I think Sierra Oaks is fantastic. Garden of the Gods. I think they have some really, really cute kind of communities and areas. And I think it puts you really near to like, if you're someone who wants to go to the Crocker Art Museum, the galas, like all that stuff downtown, the restaurants. I think there are some amazing spots. But what you're seeing right now is because Sacramento, if you look at it in general, right? Sacramento, for the most part, is like a giant suburb, except for like maybe like Midtown. It kind of is, or maybe like some of those other Sacramento kind of areas in your downtown. So for a lot of people, they're thinking to themselves, I want to move to Sacramento. I'm not looking for that downtown kind of vibe. If I wanted downtown, I'd move somewhere close to San Francisco or Los Angeles. Like I want the suburban vibe. I want the big house. I want the pool. I want the community events. That's what I'm looking for. So those areas, if you look at the homes listed in like Folsom and Roseville and everything too, those areas cater more towards that. And I think at this point in time, people realize that, I don't get let me put it this way. I don't get a lot of people who are like in their 20s who call up and are like, hey, I'm looking to Sacramento. I want to get there. I want to like have my buddies come over. We're going to go hit the clubs, go to the bars, and we're going to have that amazing nightlife. It's more about like, hey, I'm moving here. We're going to have our first child, or we have a couple children. We want to go into an area where there's a community vibe is high. All that stuff. We want the schools. We want that. That's what we're looking for. And that's kind of what Sacramento is kind of getting known for. So I think areas in Sacramento proper specifically are hurting a little bit about that. Now, I'm not saying they don't have a great community vibe. I'm not saying they don't have like an amazing like network in there, because they really, really do. But I think, like I said, the big disconnect is when they start looking at greatschools.org. It just is one of those things where they're like, oh, so if I live there, in order to get what I need, I might have to go to a private school. And I think that's a huge disconnect. So that is what I would say. All right. We got Lacey. She switched over from Meritage and she is working at Beezer in Vacaville. And I got some slides for the stuff that she has. Lacey's awesome. If you guys ever get a chance to work with her, at Beezer or wherever, she's like rock star. I really like Lacey. And maybe one day we'll see her in the resale market. You never know. All right. Daniel, live in Davis, but looking into buying work in Sacramento, Natomas, and Delta Shores is booming. Yeah, those whole areas are kind of booming. I think Natomas, for the most part, like areas like the Delta Shore areas, you know, what's called a vineyard area, the rancho areas, all those areas for new homes are having some crazy deals and they're growing, growing, growing. The only thing about Delta Shores that I'm not a big fan of is that they're really, really cramming those houses in. But I think like, you know, Natomas is popping, except for North Lake where that thing's not doing too hot. But for the most part, you know what I mean? Like I would, for the most part, tell you guys straight up that, you know, if you're looking for those deals, especially with new homes, you know, just be careful, you know, like I said, like North Lake, I think they're giving away houses at this point too. So just be careful where you're buying and just do your research, your education piece. It's really, really important right now too. Do I think the market's going to stay this slow for a while? I think, like I said, if rates don't really drastically improve, I think we're going to have a very hurting winter, fall and winter. So, you know, that's just kind of what I'm seeing. I think maybe eventually towards spring, it's going to pick up a little bit again. But what we're seeing right now are the people looking to sell their homes right now, you know, are the serious ones. And a lot of our clients specifically aren't really impressed with the type of homes that are being thrown on the market. A lot of them are like, man, we've seen this home. It's been thrown out for 3 months and held back, then thrown back for 3 months and everything too. So I think sellers, you know, like I said, if rates stay where they are, it could be a very, very cold winter. So that's my thoughts. What do you guys think? Do you think winter is going to be good or bad in Sacramento as far as for if you're a buyer? All right, Finland team, tap. It's the vision. I need glasses. I'm going to probably get glasses before November. All right. Roseville and Folsom, so far apart, traffic wise. There's a lake between. You're completely right. There is. Like I said, a lot of people are funny because when they kind of, when they move here, they're thinking, oh, you know what? I'm going to live in Roseville and I'm going to work in Folsom. I'm like, don't do that to yourself. I mean, during traffic time, especially during cycles, I mean, what? It's like 45 minutes, 50-minute drive. Like I said, Sacramento isn't, this metro area in Sacramento isn't built like normal, like metro areas where there's a big, you know, freeway around it. You know, there isn't. So you got to go through these arteries like the Hazels, like, you know, Bradshaws, like, you know, Sunrises and everything too. And during at 5 o'clock, I mean, honestly, it's brutal. And then you got to deal with, and then also if you have to hit the 50 for a little bit to go to the 80, the 50 is brutal right now too. So I would say like I said, you got 80 people and you got 50 people. And if you got to work in the 50, like around there, I would say live in Folsom. 80, I'd say go for like, you know, go for Roseville. Now here's where it gets kind of interesting too. A lot of people we talk to are like, yeah, you know what? I'm going to work in Roseville, like kind of close to 80. Now Rockland's an interesting one because you got a lot of Rockland that's like being built right now by the 65. And everybody in Sacramento knows the 65 and 80, that connector, it throws people for a loop. I've never seen so much stop and go traffic before in my life. So just understand that when you guys are out here looking at houses and you're thinking about areas, because, you know, you're going to come out here during Saturday, you're going to come out here during Sunday. It's just not really like, how can I say it? It doesn't represent really what it's going to be like during the weekdays. So if you guys are looking to move here, if you're thinking about kind of coming up here, you know, you don't have to really be here because you can do that via Google and everything too, but just look at the traffic patterns at 9 o'clock in the morning and 5 o'clock and see if it's really going to work for you. Like I said, during the weekends, it lightens up tremendously, especially now when it's 100 degrees out. So just be aware. All right. Boom. Lacey with Surf Park, Water World. You know, I was talking to Sean and she was basically telling me, she was like, yeah, you know, there's going to be actually artificial surf park where you can just surf. And they're going to be putting it in, I think, start work on it in like 6 months, but it's supposed to be crazy. That's going to happen in Roseville. Might learn how to surf. Nah, but it's going to be fun for people who've always wanted to surf, but they're too far away from the ocean. All right. Can you comment on the high home insurance in El Dorado and Placer County? Yeah. Here's the thing. One is, as far as home insurance goes, you know, like, well, let's hit flood real quick. Natomas is going to be that spot, $80, $100 extra a month for flood. Now, other areas, you know, here and there, you might have additional flood insurance, but for the most part, what you're looking at, like in El Dorado Hills and everything too, you know, depending on where the house is, and I don't want you to think all the houses are brutal, right? But a lot of stuff you have to look at, like is the house in your dry grass? How far is it for fire department, fire hydrants, accessibility, and all that stuff too. Those things, for the most part, are like, you know, just are indicators that you could be in real bad trouble for home insurance. Now, for me, whenever we work with anybody at all, where we're like, you know, having a ding, ding, ding light, you know, alerts going off, we have our home insurance guy on standby and we're like, all right, here's the address. What are we looking like? And he's not your usual, oh, here's a quote. He's the usual, he'll give you your quote and he'll say like, in a year, this could totally change. This could be worse. This could be this could be that. So he gives us a little bit of an accurate assessment on like not only what they can get home insurance wise, but how it's going to look in the future. So if you are looking in spots like Loomis, if you're looking at spots in Placer County, if you're looking in spots in like El Dorado Hills, Shingle Springs, just make sure you have a broker that you work with. And if you guys want to hit me up, Javier's my guy, and I'll make sure he responds to you because he's super busy, but he's one of the best there is in the Sacramento area. Now also another big thing that I see that's just so bad. Okay. So let's say you're going into a basic, transaction, right? All right. Oh, hey, I love this house. Kind of curious about home insurance. And you ask the realtor on your realtor, you're like, hey, can you find out how much home insurance is? And they ask the listing agent, who's representing the seller, and they provide you with their current home insurance. They could be grandfathered into that home insurance policy. So make sure you take your additional time and get your own home insurance policy. Because the last thing you want to do is you're like, oh, they're grandfathered in, it's like $6,000 a year. Then all of a sudden you get your home insurance after you bought the house and it's like $16,000. So just be very careful when it comes to that stuff too. All right. Boom. Roseville was born in 1864 at the junction between Omaha, Sacramento, and Folsom Lincoln Railroads. Can you believe that? What's the funny thing is, my buddy Jerry and I we're going to be listing this house in what is it? It's in like the Wilhagen area, and they actually took carriages from this house all the way down to downtown Sacramento. This house is an historical house too. It's going to be kind of fun, but for me, that's one of the things I really, really like as far as like all this stuff too. The history of Sacramento just completely fascinates me. You could say the Folsom was our father and Lincoln was our mother, but I would argue that the head engineer of both railroads, Theodore Judah, was the, all right. I like that. I like that a lot. And I love the history. I mean, one of the things I studied in college was history. Love. So for me, yeah. I think you guys are going to get some good videos from this house that we're going to be listing sooner than later. All right. Howdy. Hey, Ben, how's it going? All right. MG from California. Are you seeing rents go up in Sacramento area? Here's the hard thing. I don't care what anyone tells you right now. Rentals not only are going up a little bit, probably a little bit more than that, but they're hard to find. The thing that I've been running into left and right is just like people are not finding rentals. Rentals are scarce right now. If you can find one, it's going to be more expensive than you probably thought. Rentals are tough right now. And I think it's because a lot of people, when they're thinking about moving out here and they saw the high interest rates and they didn't really feel comfortable buying in Sacramento, jumped in and rented houses. I think a lot of people jump into rentals, especially with the higher interest rates, with the lack of inventory and all that stuff too. So I think our rentals, they're full. I mean, it's hard to find one. If you find one, it's going to be a little bit steeper than you expected. So just be careful. All right. Good feedback about Natomas and Delta Shores. Those house ads. Yeah, I know. Are massive produced and no character with them. I know they're, the thing that kills me about those houses over at Delta Shores, they just are so boxy, right? It would be nice. And one of the things that I've been, I think you guys have heard me talk about this a lot. I would love there to be a developer that was smart enough to build a mid-century modern brand new community. Keep the houses, I don't know, between like 1,600, maybe 2,500 square feet. Mid-century modern isn't that hard to build, right? You know what I mean? Like they can make them really, really good pricing. And I think a mid-century modern community in Sacramento would just pop. The thing is with all these like developers right now too, they're doing all the bougie, we're going to build this amazing monstrosity for like 7,000 square feet. And then we're going to sell it to someone, from the Bay Area. And I think that right now in Sacramento, we've had this crazy increase in square footage. When I first started selling real estate, like 16 years ago or something, like, in Elk Grove, like if I saw something that was like 22,000 square feet, 2,200 square feet, it was like, whoa. And now in Elk Grove, like, you're seeing some of the bigger floor plans over 4,000 square feet. So for me, I think that like, a lot of people assume that a smaller home can't be, as glamorous, as amazing as like something that's like 7,000 square feet. And I kid you not, If you do mid-century modern, really, really dialed in, really, really nice. I mean, clean lines, really, really smooth. I think not only would it add to the landscape of the Sacramento housing market, but I think it would also be kind of just like something that would just, be a little bit more affordable for people as well too. So I wish, if there is a developer out there, I mean, seriously, you'd kill. I mean, people would go crazy for a mid-century modern brand new community. All right. Boom. What are you seeing as far as new inventory hitting the market versus distilled and closed sales, delisting and closed sales? Are we growing inventory or losing inventory in the Placer County areas? What I'm seeing right now is that inventory is it's doing the same as it has been. We're seeing more inventory hit the market. Now, the crazy part though is pendings are up. Pendings are up towards the end of July. And what I did a little research additionally to that in August, we're seeing more houses get into contract. So I think what that's going to end up doing is it's probably going to eat up a little of the inventory, and inventory might be a little lighter towards the end of this year. We're seeing a lot of houses, like I said, the 2.75ers are taking them off the market. And now we're seeing the houses that are on the market are like your investor homes, or as I call them, the 3Ds: death, departing, or divorce. Those are the houses we're seeing now. And you're probably going to see only those type of houses probably until next spring. I mean, if you're working with a listing agent and you pulled off your house and they're telling you, oh yeah, we'll put it back on in winter. Don't do that to yourself. It's just not going to be. Wait till next spring. It's your best chance of getting your money. So that's kind of what I'm seeing. But the thing that really impressed me was the fact that pendings are up. Pendings are going up. So I have some stats for that later on too. They don't appeal to me looking at old established neighborhoods. Yeah, I mean, for me, like mid-century modern, I think it would be so nice. All right. You have a bit more insight on rentals. Are there not a lot of single family homes, townhouses, apartments, any particular neighborhood where it's harder to find good inventory? Okay, so here's what happened with the rentals, right? A lot of people who are buying in Folsom, right? Like bought those KB homes, like the first two communities they came out with. A lot of investors jumped in and bought those and they rented them, right? A lot of people bought the Folsom in the Taylor Morrison, what is it, debut collection. They rented them. But see, what ended up happening right now with the new homes is interest rates, because you know how they always advertise the 4.99s or the 3.99s? Those aren't for investors. Those are pretty much for people looking for primary homes. So a lot of the investors now pulled away from Sacramento. A lot of investors like, yeah, I'm not going to be doing that. A lot of them have actually switched gears to maybe getting quads or whatnot, but it's still slowed down as far as investors go. And I get that, right? Because a lot of investors would call me up and say, hey, look, let's go look at some new homes. I saw this interest rate of 4.99. And I had to break it to them. That's not for you. If you're an investor, that's not. The most I think they can give you is 2% on the home price. And they penciled, it didn't work. And so what you're seeing now is a lot of primary home buyers are buying the new homes, which is kind of cutting into a rental market. Because like I said before, when Folsom was getting built out, and I'm just using Folsom as an example, a lot of the investors were loving it. They were going into communities, getting low interest rates and getting some brand new homes that they could rent out. So for me, our investor people that we normally work with that are looking for brand new homes have kind of left our market, have kind of put a pause in it. I think a lot of them probably jumped back into the stock market, to be honest. So I think that that's affected our rental market, bar none. I do think what you're going to notice if interest rates do go down, our investors could come back, but I think it's hurting our rental market. I think as far as what I'm seeing for apartments have gone up. I think townhomes have gone up, condos have gone up, and for single family homes, they've gone up, but the inventory has definitely shrunk. I have a lot of people right now who, are saying, interest rates are high. I want to move to Sacramento, but I want to rent first. And they're having a hard time finding rentals. So it's just one of those markets right now too. Boom. Can you share your thoughts on new development in Lincoln, especially the Pulte homes near the regional airport coming this fall? Wondering what the area is like. If the airport noise will be bad. I don't think the airport noise will be that bad. I mean, Lincoln it's a tiny airport. I don't think it's going to be brutal. I think there's a couple new communities popping up in Lincoln. And I think at Lincoln, I actually went to a PCAR meeting, Placer County Association of Realtors, and the mayor of Lincoln was talking, and she was talking about all these new things that are happening in Lincoln. Lincoln is, and remember, here's the thing, Bickford Ranch, that's part of Lincoln as well too. So I think Lincoln is just growing. Now, the only big negative about Lincoln has always been that it's kind of far away from the Sacramento area. So if you're, I've worked with a lot of people and we've taken that drive to Rockland. And Lincoln was our last stop. And before we went to Lincoln, they're like, this Rockland is our limit. Lincoln is too far away. I think Lincoln right now, they have some new commercial that's going to be built out over there too. And I think Lincoln is just going to grow. So I like Lincoln. I like its chances in the future of just growing crazy. Talked to the mayor, heard her presentation, and there were so many things being built out there that it was nuts. I think I have some slides here on my phone that I took. And I actually, one of the things I wanted to do is maybe get the mayor of Lincoln to do a video with me to talk a little bit about that. And also the mayor of Rockland. They both seem like really nice people. So I think it'd be fun to get exactly those people to talk to us a little bit about what is going to happen in Lincoln, what's going to end up happening in Rockland as well too. As far as Pulte, I think Pulte is a solid builder. I think the community is going to really be nice. I think LGI, I think the homes are a little small, but the incentives are pretty good up there as well too, but they're just not going to give you the backyard you want. But I will say though, some of the better communities or some of the communities that get me excited about Lincoln are probably going to be coming either later this year or the beginning of next year. So hang tight. Like I said, maybe I'll even do a video on some of those communities, but because when I did the video about the projects, one of them was that Lincoln community, and I did how that, and I, apologies, I don't have the facts on me right now, but there is going to be some major communities coming to Lincoln. A lot of some plus 55 communities as well too, but Lincoln's like on fire. It's going to be one of those spots. It just needs to kind of have its own kind of thing. You know, Roseville has its own thing with shopping, dining, and all that stuff too. And I'm not saying Lincoln doesn't have any of that stuff too. It just needs to double down on that and create its own kind of commercial infrastructure. It's really, really one of those spots where people are like, I got to go to Lincoln because it has a Whole Foods. If it can do something like that, then Lincoln is going to be its own kind of thing. It's going to be, because honestly, I like Lincoln. I think it's good. The only thing about Lincoln, like I said, is far from Sacramento. They got to work a little bit more on the foliage, but like they have their $1 million communities out there, like Verdera, beautiful community, views galore. It has a little bit more of an Arizona vibe, but I think Lincoln is definitely an up and coming spot for sure. All right. Greetings and blessings. Greeting to you too. Thank you for coming on. I appreciate that. All right. My random thought on new developments by Lincoln Airport. The developers totally misspelled some of the street names. That's funny. I know. Some of these street names are bizarre. I mean, being a realtor and just like, I'm looking at some of these names, I'm like, there should be another S there. Yeah, I know. But if you guys want to, let me know in the comments if you'd like me to interview the mayor of Lincoln, because her speech and her talking about Lincoln, it was like, Lincoln's going to be on fire in the next couple of years. So if you want to, maybe I can bring her on, do a little video and give you guys a lowdown on Lincoln, and then maybe bring in the mayor of Rockland as well too. They had some amazing insights on projects coming into Sacramento, like I said, or into their various cities. For me, one of the things, like I said, I want to make sure that if you guys are buying it, and you'll find great houses in Rockland and Lincoln, you'll find some amazing spots. But here's a big kicker is we kind of want to know what's going to happen in 5 years, what's going to happen in 10 years. What are these spots going to look like in like 2030, 35? Not only because, for our lifestyle, for what we want to do there, but also for appreciation. We want to know that we're in an area that is actively growing, developing. And like I said, so hopefully I can get that done for you guys. But I don't know. I'm excited. And that was a very fun event to go to. All right, guys, if you guys are enjoying the show, please smash that like button. And we got more to go. So let's get into it. All right. So like I said, I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about Sacramento's place in, for the most part, the market. And you're going to see some of these spots. These are some of the more expensive spots in, 1 through 7 are in the Sacramento area. Santa Barbara, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Oakland, Santa Monica, and Berkeley. Those are some of the more expensive markets in all the United States. And like I said, Sacramento is so nice as far as affordability still. Now, I'm not saying it's affordable for people like who were used to it, what it was like 10 years ago, but I'd say in comparison, some of the spots like Berkeley, Santa Monica, San Francisco, Santa Barbara, yeah, we're pretty affordable. Now, here's something too. I get hit a lot of times by people who are looking to do articles. Now this is something interesting too. If you look at this right now too, you look at home prices have dipped 6.1% in San Francisco, 4% in San Jose, 3.7% in Sacramento, where this is what's they're predicted to happen. So we are going to probably experience a little bit of a dip. And these are cities throughout the United States that they're expecting, major things to happen as well too, especially if interest rates stay where they should be or where they're going to be. So Just so you guys know, Sacramento did not make that list. Now, the prediction though for Sacramento is this: 3.7% dip as far as home prices go. Now, for me, I think it's kind of like a little bit, I do think that if rates do drop, this is completely a moot point. I think if rates continue to hover between 6.5 and 7, I think we could see a little bit of a price drop happen in the Sacramento area. So just keep your eyes out for it. But in relation to some of these other spots and everything too, guys, Sacramento is not bad at all. All right. Now, here's the thing that's kind of fun is we're seeing so much kind of drama right now happen around September. Everyone is losing it. Everyone's saying, like, a lot of people are on one side, a lot of people are on the other one. People are saying in September, we're going to see the rates cut. Now, this isn't like the housing, but it always affects housing, normally about a week beforehand. So we could see in the beginning of September, some interest rates for housing go down. So a lot of people are just betting on this. A lot of people are saying, they're going to see some crazy stuff happen. So if this does happen and somehow, like, I don't know, we go down to like low 6s, high 5s, it could totally turn the tables on this market if demand follows the interest rate. And I think a lot of people are on the fence right now. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. What do you guys think? September, do you think rates are going to be cut? I mean, with the job numbers, it seems kind of inevitable. But like I said, don't like guessing about this stuff. I still think we're going to be 6.5, 7%. I don't know what you guys think. What do you guys think about that? All right. Look at all these people are just saying this is what's going to happen. I don't know. All right. Now let's look at reality. This is where we are right now too. Now, as we've seen, interest rates dipped from 7 and we're hovering around the 6.5 range. Now, of course, this is based on credit. This is based on down payment, loan, all that stuff too. But here's the thing though. This is where it gets kind of interesting, right? Okay, so let me see if I can do this right. All right. Oh, all right. Come on. There we go. Okay. So as we've seen normally, like it's kind of, I'm not even doing this right. I apologize, guys. iPad's fault. Okay. So as we've seen right now too, this kind of drop, we've kind of plateaued, which is kind of interesting because if you look at these other drops, they go immediately back up, right? All these dips. But this one right here, it's kind of plateaued. It's kind of like been like this, which is kind of giving me a little optimistic viewpoint that we might be hovering around 6.5, maybe even a little below that for a while. I mean, I hope so, because I think buyers definitely deserve a little bit of a break. And I think the lower the interest rate, it's going to kind of spur our market as well too. But this is kind of what we're looking at. And this is pretty, I mean, like I said, this is pretty important considering that like the other dips that we've seen within the last, since October, we've seen the dip and then it's gone right back up. Now we're plateauing, which means, I don't know, maybe it's good signs for interest rates going down a little bit. I'll believe it when I see it, but this is definitely something to look at and say to yourself, like, okay, last week it dipped, it's still remaining around there. And in fact, today it actually went down a little bit. So I don't know. I think that's good news for buyers, guys. If you guys could basically get a little bit of a break, if you guys could get rates dropping, if you can get prices dropping a little bit even, I mean, I think honestly, buyers and the resale market definitely could use it. Okay, so here's what I meant also when we're talking about sold versus, for sales, sold versus pending. If you've seen this right here, and this is end of June and end of July, you're going to see basically sold and for sales basically stayed the same. The one indicator that was a little different was pendings. So pendings are going up. We're seeing a little bit more pendings. So what that probably is going to do is it's going to eat away a little bit of our inventory as well too. But we are seeing more things kind of jump into contract as well too. Not a whole bunch, but like pendings, there are some people who are anticipating probably refinancing later and they're getting a little bit of a head start in this market. Now, this doesn't include new homes. This is all resale stuff too. So for me, I found that nice little red line to be a very, very interesting indicator that a lot of people are, jumping in a lot more, I guess you can say. All right, here we go. For sale versus new listings. Like I said, pretty much goose egg, same thing. There's a little bit more for sale, but for the most part, it's staying kind of plateauing. And I think in August, we're going to pretty much have those same kind of numbers. It's kind of the same. Like I said, again, new listings versus pending. We're seeing pendings creep up where you see new listings basically kind of plateau a little bit higher, but for the most part, Pendings are the good news. The pendings mean, for the most part, that people are seeing stuff and they're not, a lot of people are waiting, but there's some people who are actually jumping in. We're seeing some activity for people who are looking for homes as well too. So just kind of be aware that, it's not an overwhelming amount of people that are jumping in and buying houses, but this is a little bit of an indicator that people are feeling optimistic about the market and they feel like they want to jump in and they're making offers and they're getting houses. So just a heads up on that. All right. This is an interesting one too. The price per premium new construction home is dissolving. New home prices dropped 30% of large US cities last quarter. So like I've been saying on this channel, new homes are on the ropes right now, and I think that, their incentives or margins are getting cut and everything too. But I think right now, what I've been hearing from all my new home sales reps, except for maybe some of them in Folsom, some in Elk Grove, is that the new homes are kind of on the ropes right now too. They still have those incentives and they're still doing better than the resale market because of the incentives, but they're not doing as good as they expected. And a lot of the new home sales people that I keep in contact with have not been having good months. So just so you guys know, if rates go down, you could see people jump into these new homes and all of a sudden the tables could turn. But if interest rates stay around 6.5, honestly, you could probably see some great deals, even better incentives towards the end of the year. So just kind of keep a little bit of that on the brain as well too. Boom. Okay, so this is from our buddy Lacey, and Lacey just opened up basically a brand new community in Vacaville. Now, it's not really my area, but at the same time, Vacaville is one of those spots that's directly on the way to the Bay Area. So if you're someone who's looking for Vacaville, I would say here, I'll do the QR code use. Check that out. They're offering some crazy rates, crazy kind of promotions. And like I said, here's the thing that you're going to notice a lot of these new home communities, take this with a grain of salt. I mean, lately we've seen some communities just stay stagnant on their pricing, but more than not, in a normal market, what you see is that with every single release, prices go up a little bit. And I'm a big fan of, if I'm going to do new home, I want to buy when a new home community in a good market, when a new home community starts, because they always kind of price the houses a little bit lower to start to get the momentum going. And what you notice is that, let's say for every single release, they maybe increase $3,000. You end up getting some monster appreciation when you get your house and when the community closes out. So I like that. And this is it right here too. Floor plans 322. Look at that. Nice side yards. This is nice. All right. So if you guys are in Vacaville, talk to Lacey, hit her up. Here's her phone number right here. And she can give you a little bit of the 411 on Beezer in Vacaville. She can tell you a little bit about the promotions. I know they're doing some special events as well too. So Vacaville is your jam. Lacey is the person. Reach out to and talk to her a little bit about it. She's new to Beezer. She was amazing at Meritage. I had so many clients who just absolutely love working with her. She's awesome. So reach out. All right. And look at this. This is what they got going right now. Special rate, 4.75 FHA loan, 3.5% down. Guys, I don't know if you could beat that, especially in Vacaville. All right, let's get into some questions. Let's get into all that kind of fun stuff. Now, this Friday at 7 p.m., I'm going to release a video. It's of another community up at Bickford Ranch. Now, I love Toll Brothers. I think Toll Brothers, their homes are really, really nice. Their homes are going to run you anywhere between 1.2-ish to 1.8, depending on your upgrades. Now, TriPoint has another community there as well too. It's really nice. You can get some amazing view lots. The houses, the biggest floor plan goes up to I think 4,000 square feet as well too. For me, I look at these TriPoint homes and I say to myself, okay, these TriPoint homes are near Toll Brothers. So you're buying one of the more affordable homes near Toll Brothers, which is going to, help you out as far as your appreciation. I like this TriPoint community. If it's me, I'm thinking to myself, okay, buy a 4,000 square foot home at TriPoint, keep it under $900,000, get a nice big backyard with a nice view, putting that extra money towards a backyard. There is something to be said about that. So that video is going to come in on Friday. Tune in. It's going to be a great one. All right. Which is the real Cowtown, Vacaville or Sac? Ooh, Vacaville still got my restoration hardware outlet. Now, I would say, honestly, right now, I don't know. Vacaville's growing. It's growing, but there's no way anyone's talking about Sacramento being a cow town. It's funny when people actually comment about that on this channel. They're Sacramento's a cow town. I can tell you straight up, either they've never been to Sacramento or the last time they came to Sacramento was maybe 15 years ago. All right. Thank you, Mark. Looking forward to helping your buyers find their next home. Absolutely, Lacey. And like I said, Lacey is awesome. If you guys get a chance to work with her, she's an amazing person. She'll totally take care of you. And like I said, she's new at Beezer. So, she will crush it there. All right. There's very little inventory in Folsom. When will more houses show up? Folsom is one of those spots that's just a hard nut to crack. We've been working with a lot of people that have been wanting Folsom. What we're seeing is in El Dorado Hills, you're seeing a lot more inventory pop on the market, not Folsom. And so what I think you're going to find right now too, I think it's going to, unless I don't know, unless rates kind of go back up towards 7, you're probably not going to see a whole lot of inventory in Folsom right now. I think a lot of people are just not going to be listing in Folsom. And if they list in Folsom, they're going to fly. Now, if it was me and I really wanted to move in, I'd probably start looking in El Dorado Hills, even though you're on PG&E and not SMUD. I talked to a home insurance person because I think El Dorado Hills, the average square foot is a little bit more. And I think El Dorado Hills market, because so many people are scared of home insurance, that some of the homes that don't have any problems with home insurance are really kind of like vulnerable for a low offer. So that would be my advice. I wish I could give you better news, but I will tell you one thing. The one place that you guys are going to find out if Folsom has a lot more listings is this channel. Like I said, every single Wednesday, I'm here, 7 p.m., giving you real-time data and keeping it transparent, keeping it 100, and telling you guys exactly what the market is like. One of the reasons why I did this live show or started this, 2 years ago, was because a lot of the videos that as YouTubers you do become irrelevant after 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, a year. This show is meant to basically tell you that this is how the market's looking right now. So bring your questions, tune into the show. This is going to be basically me unpacking my week, telling you guys how it looks, telling you about some amazing communities I ran into. For example, I'll tell you about another community, Juniper by TriPoint in West Roseville. You can actually get 7,000 square foot lot. You can get a house that's 3,500 square feet over there too, in the low 8s. Crazy deal. If you guys are looking for big houses, that's the community. That's my favorite community right now as far as the deals go, as far as getting a big backyard in all of West Roseville. So take a look at that one. All right. Boom, boom, boom. Jobs over inflation. Jobs report, man, that is going to just really, really, really be interesting. I wonder what rates are going to look like in September. Hey, Mark. I've been chatting with Nikki. She will give you the details. Tomorrow may be the very exciting day. I hope so. Like I said, and hopefully you get excited about the house. For me, one of the things you're going to notice about me, if you guys decide to work with our team and everything too, is that we are on, we're down for the long haul. I mean, with Wendy, we've been working with her for a while, but at the end of the day, we want to make sure that you guys get that perfect house. You feel like you're making an educated decision. And that's kind of the way we like to work. So, at the end of the day, that's how we sleep well at night. MG in California. Vacaville is named after Juan Manuel Vaca. He was an early settler in the 1800s, nothing to do with cattle. Man, I love this. I love this show. You guys are awesome, by the way. And thank you for tuning in. I really appreciate it. And you guys always put a smile on my face. So I really, really appreciate it. And believe me, after an hour, after 2 hours, you guys will really make me kind of keep going. So I appreciate you guys tuning in. I appreciate all that stuff. And like I said, the show's been something that I always look forward to every single week because of you guys. All right. Vacaville is a cow town. I taught high school there 27 years, LOL, and I loved the down-to-earth charm and wonderful people. I think, cow towns can be great. I think for me, Vacaville was one of those spots where, there's some good outlets. There's some cute little communities too. Here's the thing about Vacaville. You drive kind of by it. It almost has that back in the old days of Sacramento when you drove through it. But I've shown houses in Vacaville before to some really amazing communities in Vacaville as well too. And if you're someone who works in the Bay Area and you want another option, I mean, maybe take a look and say hi to Lacey for me. All right. And it's literally Cowtown in Spanish. Agreed. All right. What's your opinion of Vineyard Park area? Do you feel like the homes there are priced appropriately for the area? Here's the thing about the Vineyard area. And we're talking about, between Elk Grove and Sacramento, if I got you right. I think that if you're talking about that Vineyard area, and if you're not, let me know so I can correct myself. I think the Vineyard area right now for Taylor Morrison's Wild Hawk North I think it's Wild Horse North or South. I get them confused. I think the pricing is pretty good. I think the Vineyard's going to feel like you're in the middle of nowhere, but there's some $1 million houses, like multi-million dollar houses within 5 minutes away from like that Wild Hawk area. I think the community is nice. I think the vibe out there is really relaxed and peaceful. I think it's in Elk Grove Unified School District. I think where you're really going to make your, where you're really going to score in the Vineyard area is the Taylor Morrison community, where you can get something in the high 4s, low 5s. That community, I think you're going to score big there. It's an area that I think just needs to be developed a little bit more. But like Elk Grove Unified, you don't have to deal with like the crazy competition that you're going to find in Elk Grove. You're not going to have the crazy building, crazy traffic that you're going to find in Elk Grove. So I think Vineyard does have its appeal. Now, the thing about Vineyard, though, that has been kind of hurting is the fact that there's not a lot of builders building in Vineyard. There was Beazer and Taylor Morrison, but that was kind of it. Oh, Richmond American as well, too. So I think what I would like to see in the Vineyard area is additional builders building there. So that way we can kind of get prices a little bit lower even. But I think the Vineyard area, like if I talk to people on the phone, they're like, okay, we want to get something, the 4s, the 5s. We go to Rancho, we go to the Vineyard area. Now and again, we might pull into Natomas. But that's it. I mean, like I said, in West Roseville, it's hard to find anything in low 5s right now too. So those are the areas I like to go to. So hopefully that helps. All right. Boom. To the next. All right. California state income tax is higher than most states. Salaries are higher in California to make up for the higher standard of living. Guys, I'm telling you, no tornadoes, no hurricanes. We got a little heat during the summertime, but you know what? We can enjoy our swimming pools as well too. We got it good in California. Like I said, like go over to Texas, feel that humidity. It's funny. I was talking to one realtor in Texas. I think it was in Dallas, and he was actually in his basement because there was some crazy storm going in. We don't have to deal with that stuff. So for me, like I said, I think, a lot of people might take the California weather for granted, especially Sacramento, and go, oh, it's so hot. It's crazy hot here too. But honestly, if you guys seen those like ice storms, those snowstorms, the tornadoes, the hurricanes, the crazy flooding, I mean, we're really, really lucky here in the Sacramento area. All right. New luxury homes in Roseville, California. Thank you for giving us Melrose and HOA amounts. Most people won't share that info. With that said, $700 a month combined for those two ridiculous overpriced, even though the houses are very nice. Yeah, that's one of the things that for me, like honestly, that have really, really killed me. A lot of people do these new home videos and they will not mention the prices of the homes, the Melrose, the tax. Some people won't even mention the builder. It's completely like the whole like baiting people to give them a call and, oh my God, look at this house. You got to call me or else I won't tell you any information. So on the videos, what you're going to notice with me is the fact that if I don't say it in the video, it's going to be in the description. You'll get full disclosure, and the pricing will be, it'll say starting, because at the end of the day, you know how builders go, they increase, they decrease. Just look at the date and timestamp of my videos. I try to be as transparent as possible. I wish other YouTubers would be, but they kind of throw that out there and they're like, hey, look at this amazing house. We won't tell you the builder. We won't tell you the amount. You got to call us first. And then all of a sudden you're working with them and you're wondering, why am I working with them? And like I said, guys, these homes are amazing. They're great, but just make sure that Melrose amount, HOA amounts too. Those things can definitely factor in. Also make sure home insurance is factored in, and also make sure if you're on SMUD, Roseville Electric, or PG&E. All those additional things definitely need to be factored in. But if you are looking for new homes, guys, we would love to work with you. We're one of the only teams in the Sacramento area, and we've closed more new homes than any other team in the Sacramento area. We're one of the only teams where the builder pays our entire fee. Not one dime will be taken out of your pocket. Most of the times what you'll do is you'll sign a buyer broker with an agent, 2.5 or 3%. So if your builder doesn't foot the bill and cover the entire amount commission for your realtor, the realtor will be asking for that at closing. We do not do that. For 6 years, we've been selling new homes in the Sacramento area. Roseville, Rockland, El Dorado Hills, Plumas Lake, Linda, you name it. We basically sold in that community. And we'd love to work with you. One of the things our team does that most other teams don't do is the fact that the builder will always pay our entire fee. If the builder pays $1 to your agent, that's what we get. Not like these new rules that make you sign a 2.5 or 3% buyer's commission. It takes money out of your pocket if the builder doesn't cover it. We are one of the only teams in the area where the builder pays our entire fee, so you never have to. Reach out to our team and we'll show you why we should be the team that you are definitely working with. All right, guys, let's get into some questions. And we got some questions. If you guys have your questions, put them. I'll make sure to answer them. I'm not going away until we do. All right. Are there a lot of outdoor recreation opportunities nearby? If you say no, you don't live around Sacramento. One of the main reasons why people move to the Sacramento area is because, like I said, the California lifestyle. But we got our rivers. We got American River, Sacramento River. We got Folsom Lake. A lot of people like to paddleboard. I mean, if you go to Costco's, you're going to see people selling, Costco selling canoes, paddle boards. Like swimming pools are big around here too. We also got 34 miles of paved bike roads, American River Bike Trail, Sailor Bar. You got the pocket area where people fish for salmon. This is one of those areas in Sacramento that, you can really have it all. And a lot of people might think when they're driving through Sacramento, this is just hot, it's flat, and that's it. That's misconception completely. Sacramento, you got a lot of hills, photographer. If you're a photographer, you're going to love it here. There's just so much stuff to do outside. There's campgrounds. People love camping. They love their RVs. They love their boats. Outdoor recreation, I would say here is bigger than anywhere that I know in California. And it's affordable to do as comparison to other spots too. So for me, if you like outdoor activities, if you like hiking, biking, mountain biking, kayaking, swimming, whatnot, this area right here, the Sacramento area, you will absolutely love. All right, boom. What's your opinion about the vineyard? Okay, we got that. I noticed less quick flips, resales in the market, which is refreshing to see. More homes that haven't been on the market for so long that retain its old charm and give a new or give the new buyer a place to put their stamp. Yeah, here's the thing for me. I hate walking into houses where you smell the white primer. Everything is like flipped. Flips for me, they're cheap flips. Cheap flips are the worst, where it's the same stuff every single house. For me, I'm always telling my clients, this stuff does not cost that much to do. A lot of the contracting and a lot of the stuff, a lot of materials don't cost that much. I would never buy just a cheap flip. I used to see a lot of them and now they're kind of going away. I would say that, if you work with our team or if you work with a realtor that has a good contractor, the stuff that you can do to your house. I mean, for example, brand new flooring in a house, maybe $6, $7 a square foot. Demo and install. Baseboards are cheap. Paint isn't that expensive as well too. You can do these little things to really make the home your own. You just have to have the vision to kind of do it. So like I said, for me, honestly, get those cheap flips out of Sacramento because it really does kill us. All right, TYFTS. All right. Hey, Mark, look at Daisley Hill Drive or Saddle Creek Drive. Those people aren't leaving. Wake me up when there's an opening in that neighborhood. All right, I will. We'll put it on our radar. Here's the thing that's funny is and you kind of hit the nail on the head. There are still some communities that are just popping, and it's a little slow. Demand is a little slow, but there are some of these communities that are just something hits the market and it's gone. And normally they're in your Folsoms, they're in your Elk Groves, they're in some of them East Roseville, Granite Bay. So you guys got to just know the areas and just know the average days on the market for specific communities, streets, and everything too. Briggs Ranch, something pops in Briggs Ranch, it's gone. So just understand that you guys got to really do that research piece of it and figure out exactly these areas because not all areas are created equal. All right, boom. Not sure why it can't get worse. The only way for it to get better is to allow large rate increases. The less companies want to do business, the more it'll cost them long term. Rates were held too low for too long. Insurance companies are here to make a profit. All these things that you're saying in this comment, I agree with. I think one of the things I'm noticing right now is that, back in the 2.75 days, we artificially held the rate down so low that so many people bought at 2.75s that even if they want to upgrade, even if they want to move, the idea of giving up their rate is just something they just don't want to do. And now that people saw how low rates could get at 2.75, it just haunts them and it stops people from jumping into the market. So yeah, I'd say that. And I think insurance companies, it's brutal what they're doing. I think that that's something that definitely needs regulations and everything too, because that's just going to make everyone moving up to El Dorado Hills. Everyone's going to be worried about that. Shingle Springs, other spots too. I think we need to get a little bit of a handle on our housing market. But yeah, for me, straight up, that 2.75 still haunts us to this day. It's going to haunt us for a long, long time. And it's a shame, but yeah, that's definitely a huge impact on our market. Boom. Whitney Ranch is kind of slow. Do you have any insight? Whitney Ranch is very, very slow now. I've taken clients up to Whitney Ranch, and I think Whitney Ranch is a great community, great HOA. Whitney Ranch retail center is opening up as well too with a Nugget, so I think that's only going to add to the area. The one thing that I've noticed with almost every client that I brought up to Whitney Ranch is they say that everything looks so the same in Whitney Ranch, and they feel a little turned off by it. I love Whitney Ranch. I think the HOA, $84, you get the pool, cabana, community vibe. I know a lot of people living up there that absolutely love it. But the market in Whitney Ranch is getting really, really, really soft. If you guys are looking for a great HOA community, if you're looking for something like that, I think it's good to look at. I think other thing too that I'm noticing is that people are very cognizant that Whitney Ranch is on the 65 and not the 80 size of Rockland. And I think what we're noticing too is a lot of physicians, a lot of doctors and nurses are moving into the area, and they're preferring to stay by the 80 in Rockland so they can hop on the freeway and either get to UC Davis Medical Center or get somewhere fast. And they're feeling like the 65 area where Whitney Ranch is a little bit too out, a little further out there. So yeah, Whitney Ranch is slow. I think Anthem is giving good deals out there too. JMC is having a hard time getting rid of houses as well too. And the resale market, like you guys mentioned, is really, really slow a little bit in Whitney Ranch. I think also the pricing in Whitney Ranch is a little bit higher. I think the pricing for the resale stuff in Whitney Ranch probably a little higher than it should be as well too. So I think in the future, what you're going to probably notice is that you're going to see some price drops in Whitney Ranch, and some people are going to get lucky with some nice houses. Like I said, it's still one of my favorite communities and everything too. But I do think, and this is just me, one of the things about JMC is a good builder, love their upgrades. But I think that when JMC has been building out their communities forever up there, and they're one of the only builders, they're probably the builder that's built the most houses in that area. And when you have too much of just one builder in the area, kind of building the same kind of elevations, all the houses kind of blend together. I think instead of giving JMC, what is it, like 6 communities that they built up there, like they probably should have broken it up, maybe given a couple of Taylor Morrison, given one to New Home, another one to New Home Company, just mixed up a little bit. I think there's too many JMC communities up at Whitney Ranch. And if you look at the floor plans up there, West Roseville, completely different story. But in Whitney Ranch up, the elevations all look the same. So I think that could be hurting. All right, boom. Wait, hold on. All right, Sacramento's mega project. I live just off of Hazel, a mile from 50. Hazel is a freeway in every aspect except name. If it weren't for a stoplight on Sunrise, I'd be locked forever on my street. Yes, we need infrastructure. One of the things, guys, that we definitely need in the Sacramento area is infrastructure. And I'll tell you something, with more of these projects that are happening, like I said, it'll be eventually I don't know, hopefully in my lifetime, the 50 will be done. But I do think that the biggest thing about Sacramento, and I've seen this in Sacramento, is kind of just crushed me, is the fact that they build houses and then they build the infrastructure afterwards. It's going to happen in Folsom Ranch as well too. They only have East Bidwell to get out of there. And it was just bad planning. I mean, everybody knows you put the infrastructure in first. So hopefully we can kind of retrofit everything and get everything up to normal, because if you think about all the new homes that were coming in, what is it, like 30,000 new homes, Folsom, 30,000 in West Roseville, 30,000 in Elk Grove, West Sacramento, Lincoln. We need roads. We need transit. We need all that stuff happening in Sacramento. They need to make it a huge priority here in Sacramento, or people are going to suffer from it. All right. Exactly. Why not improve and expand the light rail system we already have? One of the things that I've seen more than not is the fact that we do have the light rail system. People don't really like it. They don't feel like it's that safe or, it's that clean. For me, here's the thing. It's already a system in place. I mean, if they put a little bit of money, and I know they're putting in $3 million to retrofit it and make it safer and everything too, that could be something that could be huge for the Sacramento area. if they have the light rail that maybe shoots over to other areas as well too and expands the light rail system, that could be something that really could benefit our Sacramento area. It'll help load balance the traffic that we're definitely headed towards. So yeah, light rail, bus systems, everything would be nice. Why Sacramento, California is the next big thing in 2025? Sacramento is not the next big thing. LOL. It's cheaper, way cheaper, and people can't afford. It's cheaper, way cheaper, and people that can't afford better place to move, better places are moving to Sacramento. Its weather's hot for like 9 months, cold for 3 months. Not the next big thing. All right. Like, I don't mean to sound brutal, but that's like the most ignorant comment I've seen. You clearly have never lived in Sacramento. Cold for 3 months, hot for 9 months. Okay, here's the thing about our weather. We do have seasons. You're going to see the leaves change. You got fall, you got spring. Summer's hot. Yeah, in July, you got three weeks that it's brutal. But at the same time, you know, this is the kind of stuff that I look at a person who writes this and I'm just like, you clearly don't know Sacramento. For you guys, the nice thing about Sacramento that I like is that we're going to experience fall weather. December, you know, winter weather is going to come. Spring is going to hit. So for me, I like the seasons here. I think it really changes. And the idea that people move here because it's more affordable than the Bay Area and Los Angeles. Yeah, 100%. But the reason why they stay here is because Sacramento is such an amazing spot. You got to understand, like, there's so many people that I work with relocating them in from like the Bay Area, Los Angeles, or wherever. And they're looking at Sacramento and they're saying, you know what? We want to go somewhere where it's affordable, that we could have the house we love. And then they start discovering the restaurants. They discover the accessibility to Tahoe, to Napa. They start figuring out all the nature, all the hiking trails. They can buy a boat. They can do whatever. And all of a sudden they fall in love with the area. And then I run into them and they're like, yeah, you know what? I haven't really gone to the Bay Area that much. What? Found a great pizza parlor. I got some friends coming over. So yeah, I will say this. Sacramento at first is one of those spots where you say, you know what? It's more affordable. I want to get the house I want. But guys, the stuff that we're building here in Sacramento, Surf Park in West Roseville, new Top Golf in Sacramento, all that stuff that's coming here in Sacramento, people might be looking at Sacramento at first for the affordability, but once they realize what an amazing place Sacramento actually is and the Sacramento Metro is and the growth potential that we have here, they're not leaving. So just keep that in mind. All right, next one. Boom. Sacramento's mega project. Patiently waiting for rates to drop. You know, I'm going to say this. I think a lot of people are feeling the same way. I think a lot of people right now are basically anticipating the rates are going to be dropping towards the end of this year. Home prices are going to be dropping as well too. And a lot of people are still waiting. A lot of people waiting. And I don't know if I don't know. I don't know if that's a good move or a bad move. You're going to hear realtors all the time say, like, you know, you should buy now, refinance later. It's your decision. I'd say right now you've seen the market completely be unpredictable. I'm a big fan of like timing your life, figuring out if your job's stable, money in the bank, education, figuring out what you really want. And if you see it, you know, if it makes sense, go for it. But at the same time, there's a lot of people talking a lot of stuff about, you know, waiting for rates to drop too. All right, what do you think of Dixon? Some parts of the town look a little run down to me, but surprisingly expensive. I think Dixon is overpriced for what it is. If it was me and I was looking at, I would be looking at like maybe Galt. I like Galt. I think Galt is an amazing spot. And I think even though I think the builders are building a little bit too pricey in Galt as well too, I'd be looking at the resales in Galt. But Galt has been voted like the best little town or little whatever it is, like city town in all of California, like years running. So Galt would be the area I would look at myself. Dixon, it just doesn't have that appeal to me, and I think it's a little overpriced. But again, that's just my 2 cents on that. All right, next one. Is Sacramento considered a good place to raise a family? Considering it's in California, nah. And hopefully you enjoy Oklahoma or like wherever you're from, and that's cool. For me, the thing about California in general, like I said, I love California. I love the lifestyle here. And is Sacramento a great place to raise a family? For me, yeah. I got my kids here. Like, you know, the school, the swimming events, the soccer. She's made some amazing friends and everything too. The teachers have been nothing but great. Like for me, like I said, Sacramento is a giant suburb for the most part. If you're looking for that place where you're going to go out all the time, the bars and everything too, you're going to find some. But for the most part, we're all about community here. We're all about raising families. good values. And like, that's what Sacramento is kind of all about. And if you haven't come out here to Sacramento and figured that out, give me a call. All right. Boom. Lacey, my question is, what rates are buyers looking for? Builders are offering low 30-year fixed. Here's the thing about this is what I'll tell you. I think right now, the rates that you guys are offering right now in Vacaville, I think those are great rates. I think that one of the things that I think for you specifically is that by promoting it here, you're showing people that might not even have considered new homes these rates. I think that right now, one of the biggest things is people, for some reason, have this in their brain that we're going to see 2.75s in the near future, which we're not. And so I think once Pandora's box was opened and people saw that 2.75s were actually possible, it just, it was just one of those things that stuck in their brain. I think if rates got around, like when I really saw the new home market moving like crazy was when KHOV up in Rancho was doing that buy down where they bought people's rates down to 3.49. Oh, those things were flying. It was crazy. They couldn't do that many incentives. I mean, because people were just jumping in. So I think, like I said, I think for new homes, I think in the 4s, I think that makes a lot of sense. I think if it got to the 3s and somehow there were buy downs in the 3s, I think every house in that community would be gone. But I don't think that's realistic. And I don't think that that would make sense to a lot of the builders. But I do think what you guys are offering in Vacaville is pretty solid. And I think 4% is pretty, in the 4s is pretty good. And that's what I've been seeing. Who have I been seeing do that? Taylor Morrison in Vineyard is doing it. There's a bunch of communities in Rancho doing it as well too. So I think one of the things that I'm seeing right now is that a lot of the new home companies don't market that well. Like your Tim Lewis's don't market that well. So I think for you, if you ever want to, let us know about these rate promotions. If you want to ever do a video and tell us exactly what the rate promotions look like, I think, the audience here would love to hear it, because I think we are kind of waiting for, we're waiting for additional marketing to tell us about these promotions. We're telling us, we want to know about a certain house. Hey, this is a 4-bedroom, 3-bath. It's $600,000. And on this house specifically, you can qualify for a 4% interest rate, like stuff like that. I think, like I said, like if you saw the comments below about some of the videos, a lot of the people who do new home videos, they won't mention the price. They won't mention the rate. They won't mention anything. And I think the thing that I want to do more on the show, especially with you as far as the Vacaville stuff, is give me a floor plan, show me some photos, tell me exactly what that price looks like, and tell me what a person needs to qualify for a certain interest rate. I think there's a lot of vagueness in new homes at times. I think a lot of times people are like, oh my God, I saw like you can get a 1.99 interest rate, and they get there and they find out it's a 3-2-1 buy down. So I think that there just needs to be a little concrete. There needs to be a little more concrete kind of facts about what the new homes are offering. Because I think, like I said, a lot of the YouTubers are responsible for this as well too. But I think there needs to be some sort of facts built into some of these promotions, and really strong advertising based on facts and not just vagueness. I guess that's what I mean. Like I said, Lacey, I'll be probably talking to you next Tuesday, and we can get a nice little video together and show them what these floor plans look like, what the rates look like currently, and all that kind of fun stuff. I'm totally down for that. All right. Do you think the higher prices in Davis are worth it? People love Davis. For me, Davis has never been one of those spots where I've been actually drooling over. Like if someone says, but here's the thing about Davis, it's good. Like the school system there, people love the schools in Davis. Some people are leaning between, because what we notice more than not is like Davis, East Sacramento, right? Those are the two spots people are looking at, especially if they're doctors or nurses or stuff. They're either going to Davis or East Sacramento. And again, it ties back into the idea that if you go to East Sacramento, majority of the people put their kids in private schools. And in Davis, the public schools are, based on greatschools.org, like I said, always subjective, have higher ratings. So people choose Davis. For me, I think it's a little bit rural, I guess you can call it. And it's not really something I like, but there's people who just rule over Davis left and right. I just happen not to be one of them. All right, under 5%. You can always say no to an HOA community. The biggest killer is high Melrose. This is true. If there was a new home community that actually did not do Melrose. Do you imagine how crazy that'd be? I mean, the marketing, the advertising. We're the only community that has no Melrose. Would that ever happen? I don't think so, but that would be crazy marketing. All right, Lacey, great feedback and show. See you soon. Absolutely. All right, what are your thoughts on North Sacramento, Hagenwood? I like the area. I think, like, it's, for me, probably a little bit street by street. I'd say you just gotta, like, know that, like, you can't just look at a house, say it's amazing, go there, put in an offer. I think you really have to kind of figure out, like, street by street basis. And I think there's a lot of those areas in the Sacramento area specifically that, we work with clients all the time who are in a certain price point and everything too. And I'm like, this is street by street area. You have to go out there and kind of like look at the street and just look at the neighbors and see if that's where you want to live. So for me, price point, I think, is definitely good there. I just think that you have to be careful which, you have to just go out there and figure out which street you're working on and if it makes sense for you. So like I said, those areas, that's definitely what I would say. Street by street. But I do think we've worked with a couple of people that have bought in that area, and they've found amazing spots, amazing communities, amazing neighbors, but you've got to definitely do your research. Okay, Sacramento's mega project that will change Northern California. That's a little much, I know. This is going to take 25 years. Hopefully it doesn't take 25 years. The nice thing about the project that we went over, the connector, is that these little pieces of the project are already available. And as they start building, it's not going to be one of those things where you're waiting 25 years, let's just say, for the project to complete. It'll be one of those things that, like, little pieces of the project are going to be available, which will add to the infrastructure of Sacramento. Like I said, it's not an easy thing to build this and get the funding for it with them, but they're trying to make the infrastructure a little bit better for you guys. And like I said, there's so many brand new homes being built, like in the Folsom area, in the Rancho area, Elk Grove area. We need something like this big time. All right, hold on. Sacramento's California's top 6 suburbs for 2025. There's tons of shopping in Rockland. What are you on about, bro? Here's the thing. Okay. There is shopping in Rockland, right? But the people that I've talked to in Rockland normally do their shopping in Roseville. Some of them in Whitney Ranch go over to Lincoln. Now, I think that that's probably going to change with the Whitney Ranch retail center that's happening. Now, you're going to see these little strip malls in areas like, you're going to see banks, CVS's and everything too. But comparatively towards like Roseville, like the Galleria, where you got Nordstrom's, you got all those stores and everything too, Rockland doesn't have that. So I think, it'd be nicer to see that, to go to Nordstrom's, it's either Arden or it's either like Roseville. It'd be nice to see more options and everything too. Now, I'm not saying go crazy on these commercial malls, but I'm saying that it would be nice to have shopping options that you didn't feel limited. And I think, like I said, if you're going to an Apple store, please tell me where the Apple store is in Rockland, because I can't find it. All right. Boom. How's it going? All right. We got more. All right, moving to Sacramento 2025. Wow, I learned so much. I'm glad. And guys, hopefully you guys are enjoying these videos that I'm dropping. Like I said, I want to break up the Friday videos. I want to do some home tours. I want to do some projects that are coming to Sacramento for the future. I also want to do some neighborhood tours where we actually go to these neighborhoods and tour these neighborhoods. And I also want to do some market updates that are a little bit more like stat driven. So you're going to see a whole bunch of different kind of videos popping on the Friday. But hopefully you guys enjoy them. The project videos that we did on Friday with Derek, that was a prototype of things I want to do. The next one I want to do is I want to talk to the head guy at the rail yards and talk to him about all the development and growth over there as well too. And I have a couple other things that I have in the works for you guys as well too. And they're not going to be fluff pieces. They're not going to be like, 10 things or this or that, or, they're going to be basically hopefully people that are so ingrained in these projects that everything they tell you is going to be like legit stuff. And like I said, Derek, he is the head of the connector project that's doing this. So everything that he was telling you, it's like literally like he does that on a daily basis. So hopefully you guys enjoy that. All right, Sacramento's mega project. Thank you for the info. Is there any plan to improve North Highlands Antelope area? I don't think so currently. As far as I know, there's no plans in place for that. I think the Antelope area that you're probably going to see a little bit is where it borders on the West Roseville area because of all the Melrose. You might be seeing new schools and stuff too. But for me right now, nothing that I know of as far as North Highlands and Antelope. I could be wrong. I haven't looked into it too far, but what I know, nothing comes to mind. Okay, interest rates are dropping. Don't move to Sacramento. Horrible weather for 6 months of the year. Man, There's a lot of hate going on in Sacramento. Sacramento's amazing. Like I said, you know, Sacramento, honestly, the funniest part about Sacramento is that I always lean into this and I go, you know, people just love Sacramento when they're here. People probably are a little bit jaded about Sacramento if they've lived here maybe 15 years ago, or maybe just, you know, had a bad experience in Sacramento. But if you're someone who wants a California lifestyle, if you want someone who's looking for that spot that's way more affordable than SoCal, way more affordable than the Bay, you still want to be close to Tahoe, Napa. You want to have everything that California is built to have, and you still don't want to, you know, buy like a $2 million, 1,200 square foot condo. Sacramento's where you go. All right. Hopefully you guys are enjoying the broadcast. If you are, smash that like button for me. I'd appreciate it. All right. I want to upgrade to a String Brothers MCM home with a large yard. I know one day we will get you there. I promise. I promise. String Brothers. I'll be calling Steve String myself. Interest rates are dropping. I don't understand why we can't get the insurance. Guys, honestly, here's the thing that I will tell you. One is, hopefully we get a little handle on this insurance. I don't think we will anytime soon, but hopefully we do, because it's getting very, very out of control. There's some of the most amazing spots in Sacramento that people are kind of steering clear away from, just because for the most part, like, they're afraid of the home insurance. And I think that that's like ludicrous. Now, I'll tell you one thing though, if you are someone selling your home in the Sacramento area, just make sure that, you know, you're working with a realtor that actually like knows about home insurance as well too. If you're going to list your home and you get that thing in contract, make sure that you have the home insurance stuff ready to go. What I've seen more than not right now too, you're seeing a lot of listing agents right now. Well, as you guys know, I mean, they don't do any marketing. They don't do any social media. They basically put it in these like magazines to promote themselves, and the marketing for homes right now is just horrible in the Sacramento area. So I'd say one is like, you know, if you're working with a listing agent, make sure they're doing videos, Instagram reels, TikTok stuff. And I know a lot of people might go, oh, that stuff doesn't work. Guys, we've sold 10 houses with YouTube videos. They absolutely work. And they're the extra effort anyone should be doing for a listing, especially in this current market where so much stuff is sitting. Now, another thing too, I've been seeing is a lot of people like will list with somebody and then go to a secondary agent. So just make sure that you're vetting the agent, make sure they really know what they're doing, make sure that marketing is a key piece of what they're doing. They're showing the analytics, they're showing you a game plan for it. Because what I've seen more than not is that Sacramento, the people listing homes in Sacramento right now, they're not at the level of Los Angeles agents, San Francisco agents. We're more like the old school, post in the ground, bake open house cookies. That's kind of what we do. So if you guys are having a house right now that's sitting, if you're thinking about listing your house, I will tell you guys, like, we do stuff different. And I haven't run into a team in Sacramento that does stuff the way we do it.
Selling your home shouldn't be a guessing game. We've used one tool to sell homes again and again, our YouTube channel. It's the biggest in Sacramento and buyers are watching every single day. One video, thousands of views, one sold home. It's a pattern we've seen work time and time again. Our team doesn't just list, we market, promote, and sell. Reach out today and let's get started on selling your home with a strategy that works.
All right. Like Sacramento, some comments are based on the California negative noise that the other 49 states hear about us in the media. We live in Cali because we love it here. 100%. I'm with you 100%. Like I said, there's no other place like California. I don't know. It's one of those things I always think to myself. I'm like, there's two people in the world, people who live in California and people who wish they lived in California. I love California. I love the lifestyle here. For anyone who is thinking about coming to California, I'd say look at Sacramento. I lived in other spots myself. I've lived in Arizona. You know, it's just, there's something special about California. Now, I'm not saying there's not amazing spots to live additionally throughout the United States, but I would definitely say that there's something special about California. There just is. And, you know, it's just an amazing spot to live. And like, for me, I was so lucky to discover Sacramento because I was one of those people, you know, that was like, Sacramento, no. Then I came here and I just literally, that chip that I had on my shoulder just went away because I realized what an amazing spot this is. So, you know, like I said, if you guys are interested, come out to Sacramento. We plan a mean tour. All right. What are your views on Rancho Cordova? I know Tolia area. It's progress, traffic. what do you foresee it turning into in the next few years? One is the connector is going right through. So you're going to have that kind of freeway or entrance, going from Elk Grove to Folsom, which is going to open up a whole bunch of way for you to get to like Folsom, way for you to Elk Grove, way for you to get all the way to the Bay Area if you need to a lot quicker. I like the Rancho area. I think the bang for your buck there. I don't think there's an area, especially that Anatolia area, if you're looking for a new home, best incentives, tons of builders and everything too. Now, that being said, Anatolia has taken a kind of a weird little shift, right? Before, like out there, they built like a while ago, in Cahov and everything too. It was hard to find a house in the Anatolia area for like under $650. The price point has been a little bit brought down just by certain builders like Cahov, Richmond also did it as well too. But what you're seeing right now in the Rancho Anatolia area is that you're seeing like a really nice community vibe, great parks, and accessibility. Like you can get to Folsom on the back roads. For me, the Braden project that's coming out as well too, that's a community that's going to be off Douglas. That's going to add a little bit to the Rancho area as well too. I think there's pros and cons to every area, but if you're someone who's saying to yourself, I want an area that I want something in the 500s. I want to get those incentives. I want a community vibe. I want my kids, to have soccer fields available close to everything, And here's the thing, Anatolia, it's not really like, when I say close, I'm talking about maybe 12 minutes from Costco, 12 minutes, 15 minutes from Zinfandel, Target. But there's more things slated to be built in that area as well too. I like Rancho. I think, like I said, I don't think you can get those incentives. I don't think you can get anything like in the West Roseville area right now for under like maybe 580. And I think in Rancho you can. I like the Rancho area because there's a lot of builders there and the competition drives the prices down and everyone's giving incentives. Vineyard area, you're going to get something about the same price, but there's not a lot of builders out there. So for me, I look at it and I say to myself, like, out of all the spots in the Sacramento area, I think Rancho is going to give you the best bang for your buck. I think at the same time, there's going to be two or three new schools built between Folsom and Rancho as well too. I think your Elk Grove Unified, although, you have an amazing elementary school, subjective, schools, whatever, but you have one right there in the Anatolia area, which people absolutely love. You got to drive a little bit and bus it to the Elk Grove schools that are always talked about. But for me, I like the Rancho area. I like the Anatolia area. I think it's really, really nice. There are some stuff you just got to keep and if you want to, give me a call and I can give you a little bit of the pros and cons on that. But there are things, but every area in the Sacramento area has their pros and cons. Rancho also, you're on SMUD. So, for me, I like the area and I don't know if you're going to get the same bang for your buck anywhere else in the Sacramento area. Because like I said, Elk Grove Unified, you can get a brand new home there for like maybe in the low fives. And you can go a little higher and get yourself a house with a big backyard. You're close to Folsom and all that shopping. You got Costco 12 minutes away. So for me, I like the Rancho area. And I don't think that you're going to find those kind of deals in like the next area that you might be looking at is West Roseville. But again, West Roseville, like you're going to probably have to pay maybe at least like $40,000 to $50,000 more. So I like Rancho. I think it's good. I think bang for your buck wise, it's a hard one to beat. All right. Sacramento and the Valley and Sierra are amazing, but the Bay Area and LA are horrible. And that's where the negativity comes from. They drag the rest of the great state down. I gotta say, I kind of agree with you here. Like I do think that Sacramento in general, I think if you look at people who've moved here, people love it here in the Sacramento area. I think there's a lot of negativity that does stem from the Bay Area, especially when the stocks aren't doing too good in LA and all that stuff too. I think for us right now in Sacramento, we're creating something amazing with the growth, with the, with all the new homes being built, all the schools, parks, our accessibility, our job diversity. Like we've got a lot going here in Sacramento. And I think also a lot of the hate comes from people who might've been here 15 years ago, maybe heard it from a friend, stopped over, maybe on the way to Tahoe or whatnot. For people who live in Sacramento, we realize that we've got it good here. And so for me, like I said, some of the comments just kind of make me laugh because I know straight up that these people don't know Sacramento. So, all right. JP Morgan predicts Fed will cut rates in September and 4 times total this year. If that happens, guys, all bets are off. The market could definitely shift. Okay, this is my shout out. I put this in one of my posts on the community, but I want to say this. Mark, please give a shout out to Papa Murphy's West Sacramento off Jefferson Boulevard. Owners are from Roseville, fabulous family. Their little girl made my son a turtles bracelet. Just really kind family. This is the type of community vibe, the type of people that we have living in the Sacramento area. For me, I've had experiences like this all the time. I'm telling you guys, Sacramento is all about community, all about family. There you go. All right, Sacramento, less than 2 hours from Lake Tahoe. Yes, it is. Absolutely. Everything is super close by here in Sacramento. And for me, you know, the location of Sacramento is great. The job diversity here in Sacramento is fantastic. We're always like, you know, as far as any of the lists that we're on, it's usually like the best places to live in California. I think as far as the California housing market, again, I'll go back to the very beginning of the video when I was talking about the California housing market and how Sacramento plays into it. I think Sacramento is Goldilocks. I think we are literally that spot in California. We don't break the bank as far as affordability in California. I think the location is fantastic. We have all the things that California is built to be. I think our job diversity is fantastic, and our culture that we're developing around here in Sacramento, where it's family, suburban, you know, gathering at the house, resort style vibe. I mean, guys, we got it all here in Sacramento, and I think we're extremely lucky. Now, hopefully you guys enjoy this show. Like I said, every single Wednesday I'm here at 7 p.m. I'm going to give you the lowdown on exactly what the market's looking like. So this is kind of the show to watch if you're thinking about moving into Sacramento and you kind of want to know what the snapshot is looking like in the Sacramento area. My team, we go everywhere. Sacramento County, we go to Yolo County, Placer County, El Dorado Hills as well too. So if you guys are looking to move, if you guys are thinking about like, you know, this guy's been talking a lot about Sacramento, but I have additional questions for him, reach out to me. I'd love to talk to you about Sacramento. I consider myself a Sacramento enthusiast because I, just like a lot of other people, didn't know what to expect with Sacramento. In fact, didn't really think that I would ever live in Sacramento, but I made the journey up here. Absolutely love it. There's no place I'd rather be. Love the area, love the people, love the community. And like I said, my team would absolutely love to work with you to show you why we fell in love with Sacramento. Literally, my entire team is made of people who like, never, you know, didn't grow up here, discovered Sacramento, fell in love with Sacramento. So, you know, reach out to our team. We'd love to work with you. Until this Friday at 7, I'm going to drop a video on TriPoint up in Bickford. And then next Wednesday live, 7 p.m., just like always. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. Smash that like button. Like I said, I appreciate you guys taking the time to watch the show. See ya. Okay, guys, hope you enjoyed the show. This is a show we do every single Wednesday at 7 p.m. just for you live. Bring your questions next week. We'd love to answer them and talk to you a little bit about the Sacramento real estate market and how it's doing. Now, if you enjoyed the show, if you enjoyed the video, please smash that like button. Also, any comments or questions that you have, put them below. I'll make sure to answer them. Now, guys, we are a real estate team in the area. We relocate people from point A to point Sacramento all the time. And we'd love to work with you. If you're thinking about making a move to Sacramento, guys, we would love to talk to you, answer any questions you have, plan an amazing tour for you, and talk to you a little bit about why Sacramento could be that spot for you. Now, if you're someone in Sacramento and you're thinking about selling your home, guys, our team is selling homes in Sacramento, in the Bay Area, and in Tahoe. So if any of those spots are you and you're thinking to yourself, I want to sell my house, but I just don't want to use those posts in the ground, cross the fingers, old school realtors, guys, like seriously, we market on YouTube like no other team in the area. We've actually sold 10 houses with YouTube videos, and we'd love to show you the marketing behind that. So reach out, hit us on a Zoom call, and we can talk to you a little bit about how we can sell your house for you, especially if it's on the market and it's kind of sitting there. We'd love to talk to you a little bit about that and show you why our team can get the job done for you. Now, one last thing before I go, there's a video over there. It's actually a playlist of other videos I've done about the Sacramento area. Hit that playlist, Education is Power. It's going to show you a little bit more about Sacramento and why Sacramento could be that spot for you. Again, guys, this is Mark. Have a good one. Hit that like button. See you next video.